Hello again, and welcome to the third installment of the Borrowing Money Workshop, Know Your Credit. I'm thrilled that you are continuing on this educational experience. I'm your host and content creator, Joe Miller. Let's recap what was covered in the first two borrowing money videos. The foundation to successfully borrowing money is comprised of four key components: know your income, know your credit, know your budget, and know your purpose. Each one of these components is important, and a good understanding of all four is essential to success. By building a solid credit foundation, you'll be able to control your loan narrative and obtain the loan that works best for you. Because at the end of the day, you need the loan that is best for you, not your lender or bank or car dealership. A loan that fits within your budget, can be easily repaid with your income, and has the best terms and interest rates based on your credit. If you don't have a solid credit foundation and understanding of your income, credit, budget, and purpose, then you are susceptible to getting talked into the wrong loan terms or buy something that you will soon regret or realize that you can't afford, even though the sales agent or lender said that you could. Or you could have paid more in fees, paid a higher interest rate, or had to put more money down than you wanted to. The bottom line is that you are getting a loan on someone else's terms and not on your own, thus potentially costing you thousands of extra dollars in additional finance costs. The first key to successfully borrow money is to know your income. Understanding the difference between how much you earn, your gross pay, compared to how much you actually make, your net pay, your net income. When a lender or a loan officer is reviewing your income, they are basing their income calculation on your gross salary or hourly pay over the last year or two. That amount could include additional pay from overtime, commission, or bonus income that you've decided not to include in your budget. Or you are basing your budget on the 4 times per month pay method or 2 times per month pay method that we discussed in the Know Your Income video. Based on the higher gross income amount, the lender or bank approved your loan and monthly payment similar to everyone else in this gross pay or income range, again fitting you into this box. But as we learned from the examples in the Know Your Income video, this is where you can get into trouble and lead to a repayment problem down the road if you only follow their advice, especially if the income source, amount, and type the lender is using is substantially different than what you plan on using towards your repayment and budget. Now, on with the training. Do you know your credit? What is it comprised of? Ask yourself, when was the last time that you actually reviewed your credit report or looked at your credit score? For most people, the answer is not ever or not recently. First, let's start with a little background. Your credit report is comprised of information that companies such as banks, credit card companies, mortgage lenders, government agencies send to credit agencies such as Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. These companies are repositories of that information. That means that they gather and organize the information received into a condensed report, your credit file, and then make that report available for sale to these same banks and lenders and other institutions such as auto and property insurance companies. They're not checking your credit file for accuracy. This is why I recommend that before you apply for credit, that you review your credit report and make sure that the information reporting about you is accurate. This will not affect your credit score. Within the Borrowing Money Workbook is a section about credit that has a checklist. The checklist tasks you with checking the addresses, make sure they are places where you've lived, check recent inquiries, make sure that any inquiries were initiated by you, and verify that all loans and credit card companies are the ones you recognize and pay. Make sure that the repayment history is reporting accurately. Also, this is a good way to check to see if there's any fraudulent activity occurring in your credit file. Also in the workbook is an action item that tells you how to obtain your credit report for free. You are entitled to review your credit report for free at least once a year from each of the 3 major credit agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. The government-created website is annualcreditreport.com. From there, you can get to the 3 main credit agencies. If you find any discrepancies, then it's best to have these issues fixed prior to applying for credit so that you have the highest score available for you based on accurate information. I find the best way to have any issues addressed in a timely manner is to contact the credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion directly, where you have ordered the credit report. Putting in a dispute with them is most of the time easier, quicker, and less of a headache than trying to navigate your way through the different departments within a bank, lender, or mortgage company. When the credit agency reaches out to one of these lenders, they typically require a 30-day turnaround time for an answer on the disputed item. If the bank, lender, credit card company, mortgage company, collections agency does not reply within this 30-day window, then that information or rating is typically removed from your file. You can also add a consumer statement to your credit report if you feel that you need to address or explain anything. This is sometimes a good proactive practice because it tells your side of the story if there was a major event that caused you some late payments. Any statement should be short and concise. After you reviewed your credit report and fixed any issues, the next recommendation is to obtain your credit score directly from Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion if you don't already know your credit score is. This may cost a few dollars, but is well worth it to know this score and what credit agency it came from. There are some companies out there that will tell you they have your score, but you don't know where they're getting their information from or if they are using their own internal formulas. Therefore, I find it best to get the score directly from one of these three main credit agencies. The best score are scores over 780 or higher, up to the mid 800s. The goal should be to have your credit score at 740 or higher. However, you should be in good shape with a score of 700 or higher. The credit section of the Borrowing Money Workbook will go into more detail about the credit scoring and its action items for other recommendations mentioned in this video. The bottom line is that the better your credit score, the better the loan rate and better loan terms you will be eligible for. And on a purchase, it could mean less of a down payment. Keep in mind that even if you are not preparing to borrow money right now, it is still a best practice to know your score and your credit because it can have a significant effect on your non-borrowing related business situations. As an example, if you are looking to rent an apartment or house and obtain any utilities in your name, such as electricity, gas, or water, your credit score could determine whether or not you are approved and how much of a down payment is required. I know personally when I was temporarily renting a place a few years back, the company only required a damage deposit and not the standard 2 months of rent deposit. And I didn't have to pay any deposits to turn any of the utilities on. Well, that saved me a couple $1,000s I didn't have to put up front to pay to move in. Also, keep this in mind, some insurance companies are using your credit score when quoting insurance rates. A surcharge could be added unknowingly to your auto insurance rate because of your low credit score. That again could cost you $100 or so in extra insurance costs annually. Another thing that I recommend to everyone I talk to is to freeze your credit file. It's easy to do and easy to unfreeze when you decide to apply for credit or when your credit report is needed. This will significantly reduce the chance of any fraudulent activity occurring against your credit. Ask yourself this question. Of the 365 days in a year, how many times in the last year or two did you need to have your credit report available and unlocked? Maybe a total of 5 or 10 days over that year. That is why it's a good habit to have your credit locked, frozen, and secured the other 355 days, just like you do with your car or the place where you live. Just remember to freeze your file directly through Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Freezing and unfreezing your credit is also free. Now that you know your credit and your credit score, you have another tool in your toolbox as you continue to prepare to borrow money. Knowing your credit score will show your lender, bank, and car dealership, mortgage company, that you can't be taken advantage of and sold on a higher interest rate than what you should otherwise qualify for. Being prepared to do anything in life will lead to greater personal success and reward and accomplishment. This is why the Borrowing Money Workshop and Workbook are essential to you. So remember to hit that like button and subscribe button below to get all the videos and information offered. Thank you for listening to the Know Your Credit video of the Borrowing Money Workshop. The next video to watch is Know Your Budget. If you still haven't purchased the Borrowing Money Workbook, then you can do that now through Venmo or PayPal at the link or QR code listed. Remember, if you're using Venmo for the payment, then search for the Borrowing Money Workbook. Remember to add your email address in the "What is this for?" text box. It's critical that you add your email address so that I know where to email the workbook. If you are using PayPal, then please check the email address on file with PayPal that is your current email address. As a reminder, the workbook is a Microsoft Excel document, so you'll need to have access to a computer or laptop that has that software. If you have any questions, the email address is borrowingmoney@yahoo.com. Thank you for listening to the Know Your Credit video. The next video will cover the very important Know Your Budget. You want to be sure to listen to that one. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can complete the workshop and not miss out on any of the important information that is provided. Thank you again for watching. Have a great day.